Hello, welcome back to my channel. What you can expect from this video is me speaking about Rematch, my experience with Rematch, and how to deal with it if you're going through it. I feel like there is a big negative association with Rematch, which should never be the case. I honestly believe that Rematch was the best decision I made, and it can be the same for you. So I'm gonna jump right into it and start speaking about my experience. If you haven't watched any of my other videos, I'll put the link in the description. I also have a referral link if you're new to this and you're thinking about becoming an au pair. Make sure to use that referral link down below and it will take you straight to a website where you can fill in your details. For me, I am currently living in Connecticut, for those of you who have not watched my previous videos, which is an hour outside of New York City. I arrived here in April and I was with that family for 4 months, and I rematched and I came to my new family that I am absolutely having a great time with. Rematch is when you go through this process of finding a new family. You have a 2-week grace period. For au pair in America, you don't necessarily have an exit meeting as it is of cultural care. What happened was I had spoken to my community counselor, said that I wasn't happy and I wanted to rematch. I spoke to my host parents about it, and then my application went live and I was in the matching process with my new family. You only have 2 weeks. If you don't find a family in 2 weeks, you have to go home. But the likelihood of that happening is slim unless you really want to go home. For me, I wanted to stay in my area because I had made friends and I just didn't want to go through the whole change. And so I was lucky enough that a family reached out to me, this family, and we met for coffee. You can rematch anywhere in the States. Quite early on in my experience, I never felt good enough, and that is never okay. I feel that times can be challenging and times can be hard, but it should never feel that you're fighting for your place in a house. I know that this whole experience is based off cultural experience. I think that there has to be a certain level of comfort. You should be able to feel comfortable within due time. I never did. Previous au pairs didn't feel uncomfortable or didn't rematch. They fit well with that family. I always felt like I had to prove myself. I was doing above and beyond my job. Your sole purpose is to look after the kids. So when their washing was in the wash, or my host parents' plates were in the sink, or I would wash them. So I would always go above and beyond what my role as an au pair was. I was never told thank you. I was never appreciated or acknowledged. You should never look for approval, but because I never got that, I was constantly being upset because I never got a thank you. And I know you should never expect that, but I would be working maybe 12 hours a day, which was over the time that you're not allowed to work over hours. And they would come home and they wouldn't even say thank you. And I know that's not like a big thing for some other people, but for me, just common respect goes a really long way. It doesn't take a lot to just say, like, you know, shit, you work 2 hours overtime. Thank you so much. I never got a single thing of that. I still remember the one time I was working and they'd come home later than they said, and they took the kids to bed, and I was like, good night, sleep well. And she's like, thanks. And she took the kids to bed. She came home, she didn't greet me. It wasn't all bad. There obviously were the good times, and they form a big part of my experience in America. A big reason why I rematched was also because of my host kid. I just did not click with him. That is not to say that he's a horrible child or I'm a horrible person. We just did not click. A big part of why I stayed, so I kept saying to myself, like, if I rematch, I'm failing. If I go home, I'm failing. And I'm pretty sure a lot of other people feel like that, and you don't want to feel like a failure, but you're not failing. You're just acknowledging where your breaking point is. And if it's not serving you, you have to rematch. And I was very indecisive about my decision until the day I even brought it up. I never ever thought I would. I always saw all these other au pairs and how their host family treats them and how welcome they feel, and I always felt like I'll never have that. I felt like that was the dynamic of my house, and I was too scared to rematch. Like, I couldn't even speak to my host mom about certain things because I was so scared that she was going to shout at me. There were times where she would lose it with me because she had a bad day, and I don't think that's right either. There was a time where my host kid demanded fresh oatmeal. He threw a fit, and he's 12. Like, I have 13-year-olds now who he handles himself on his own. Like, I don't even have to do a lot for him, whereas like before I was doing so much. What would happen is my host mom lost it. She's like,
look at you, you're just standing in the kitchen, you're not doing anything. I also want to have a cup of tea in the morning.
Getting aggressive. She was just going off at me in front of him. The fact that they get to see that, they think that it's right to speak to me like that, and it's not. Like, she could have come to me in private and said, you know what, I prefer if you make a cup of tea after you've got everything done so that we're not rushed, and I would have understood. But after that, I was too scared to make tea in the morning because I was so scared that she would bite my head off about it. That isn't even the half of it. Everything I did, I just felt like it wasn't enough. I was driving a lot, and I drove a BMW, which does use a lot of gas. It was a 1 week where her and her husband were out a lot, my host dad. And so I had to do a lot of the driving, and I did have to fill up the tank twice in that week. I filled up on the Sunday, and then I had to fill up again on the Saturday. And she lost it with me. Like, she was like,
I can't understand. Like, I just can't understand how you have to fill up twice in a week. And
I actually did go to the coffee shop twice that week, and it's 7 minutes away from my house. So it wasn't like I was driving an hour to New York or whatever. I felt very attacked. I was living in a very big, nice house. It's not like they didn't have money. I just couldn't understand that. She said to me, if you fill up twice in a week, the second tank you'll pay for. I previously, 2 weeks before, spoke to my host dad and my host mom in the kitchen, and I said, what are the rules with regarding driving? My host dad was like, no, like, we pay for your gas. Like, don't stress about it. As long as you're not driving very far, that's perfect. Like, that makes complete sense. So for her to say that was such a shock to me, and that was in my first month. I was always finding excuses as to why I should stay with the family and that I won't find better. And I don't want to bash the family down, and I don't want to make them sound horrible, but just because I didn't connect with them doesn't mean that other au pairs couldn't. I was always compared to like, oh, but the other girls could do that. I can't understand why you can't build a relationship. And I tried so hard. I cooked dinner for everyone. I would be cooking dinner, and host mom would come home, sit at the dinner table and start eating with her kids while I'm around the stove cooking. And I tolerated it, and I still thought it was normal. My sister's friend Jamie and my other friend Caitlin and all my other friends who were supporting me, encouraging me that I should do it because I wasn't happy. I was taking it out on my boyfriend as well. But I got to a point where I said, okay, I'm going to give myself a month. That night I spoke to my host family and I said, I'm having trouble with my host kid and I can't figure out why. He's not listening to me. I'm reaching my breaking point. I need your help. Host dad was like initiating conversation, but my host mom was just flipping through a magazine and she's like, if you want a rematch, give me 2 weeks. I gave it a month. It was so hard. Not my working hours, but my patience level with my host kid, and I just can't do it with this family anymore. I was so nervous. I didn't eat for a full day. The thought of it made my stomach turn. I kept justifying the reasons to stay. I broke down because I felt like I was failing, and I was like, I'm quitting. Only once I rematched and I've got what I have now, I realized that you're not failing, you're doing better for you. And I think that's such a significant thing. I then spoke to my family. I sat them down, I was shaking, and I not once blamed my host kid, and I said it was me. And I said, I can't give the best au pair experience and be the best au pair to your family if I'm not happy. They were telling me like, I'll never find a family where you're gonna be off on the weekends.
They were wrong. I barely work on the weekends, and I basically work less than 30 hours a week. So
I'm gonna be working overtime, and I just had to say like, I'm not happy. To say that is a very daunting statement. Like, it's harsh, like, and it's hard because it's like you're in their house, and it was awkward. The process of telling them was awful. At the end of the day, I'm never gonna see them again. I think about it now, and I've never felt happier. It is possible to rematch and find a better family. I went into the rematch process. It was very awkward. That night, I just said to my friends, I was like, please pick me up. The car had a curfew. Oh wait, I don't remember. Oh no, I did get picked up. So I didn't really have a curfew, but my car had a curfew of being in the garage at like 12 o'clock at night. It was such a weight off of my shoulders that I'd finally voiced how I really felt, because I'd constantly did not feel enough. I went into the rematch process. I spoke with a woman who is currently my host mom, and she's amazing. I clicked really well with her. Her personality is more like my personality, and that is why we click so well. I click well with the kids. They're very respectful. They always say thank you. Like I said, building a relationship takes time. My 2 oldest are boys and my youngest is a girl, which is also nice because the boys are more like a team and my youngest and I are like a team, and We always bond and I am so happy. I feel comfortable. You are not failing if you decide to change, and I won't lie, I honestly hated her, my host mom. The thought of her after I had left made me so angry. I had realized how much she affected me. And of course, my host kid was the biggest reason as to why I rematched. The whole point is you're bonding with the children. When I left, I think what stuck to me the most was just how my host mom treated me, and because she was an adult, she knows what's right and wrong, and obviously my host kid did too, but he's a child. My host mom should have known better, and the way she spoke to me in my last week of being there, it made my whole experience with them completely sour. I know it sounds stupid, but it took me a really long time to come to terms with the fact that I am enough. I like to think that I'm an easy person to get along with and an easy person to live with. I'm very low maintenance. Why was I such a problem to her that she had to treat me like that? I guess I just had to come to terms with the fact that I am enough and you are enough. There is nothing wrong with you. Because you decide to rematch doesn't mean that your family is a horrible family. For me, doesn't mean that they're horrible people. They did wonderful things for me. They let me stay in their house. My experience with kids was different to the experience of the au pair 4 years ago. You have to realize, yes, the first au pair got on with your kids, but he was 8. He's 12 now. It's really sad because a lot of girls land up going home. Their first experience makes them too afraid to try again. I do think that you should just do it if you're not happy. I promise you, it's the most rewarding thing that you can do. I'm of course I'm gonna come back. It's not even a question. Of course I'm gonna come back and visit them. You need to put yourself first. If you're going through this process, you're gonna be fine. It's gonna be awkward. It's gonna be weird staying in their house for 2 weeks because the kids know, if you have older kids, they're very well aware of what's happening. You're never gonna see them again. So you know what? Just do it and move forward. If I could do it, you can do it, and I support you. If you're going through it, I'm gonna put my email down below, like I always do. You can reach out to me and I can share light on that. Really hope you guys enjoyed my video and I can give you a bit of an understanding of my experience and the real truth as to why I rematched. I hope that you guys enjoy the rest of your week. Make sure to like and subscribe and comment if you want to comment, and I'll chat to you guys soon.